Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my presentation. First things first, my name is Ray America. This is Rayo in Tech. I hope that everyone is going well. I hope that everyone's doing well. Currently, right now, I have a PowerPoint presentation which I just want to use for my CYB 505 class. Shout out to Professor Yi, a pretty great professor. If you guys are looking for just tips in cybersecurity or you're looking to get into a direction, GCU has an awesome cybersecurity program. So, just a heads up. Anyways, this PowerPoint presentation is my guide for just talking about the three main things in data. We have data in rest, data while it's in use, and also data while it's in transit. I know these are a couple bit of like complicated concepts, but I'll be happy to get into it. So, let's get started. First things first, we're going to talk about the difference between what is data and rest, data in use, and data in transit. So, first things first, let's talk about what data is. Think about when you have sensitive information. Whenever you have information which is either secured or stored, that is stored as data. And I know when I speak personally for everyone wants to make sure that your data is secure. So, the reason why I bring up these three concepts of data at rest, data in use, and data in transit is that, especially within cybersecurity, it's best to know how to secure all of these measures, because by doing that, you'll be able to have better data security and then overall just more awareness. First things first, we're going to talk about what data at rest is. So, data at rest refers to the actual type of data which may be physically at rest. So, an example is when you have a USB drive or you have a portable hard drive. What usually happens is that data can be moved from one place to another. However, it's actually stuck on a physical device itself. Usually, this will have some sort of security measure like an encryption, which I'll be happy to talk about in like another video. But usually, it will have a security measure as an encryption to make sure that the data is secure. The next topic is data in use. So, the best way to think about data in use is when you are currently working with information which could be like stored. Let's say an example would be a register, for an example. Usually, with a register, what you can do, let's say if someone's trying to log in with their account, if they want to be able to sign into the rewards program and then be able to just use their information to get a discount, that is already data in use, because you can see that that current data is actively being used in order to fulfill a task. Lastly, we're going to talk about what data in transit is. Whew. Data in transit is the think about data which is being passed over from one information to another. So the way I like to think about it is like a freeway. So usually in a freeway, there's multiple lanes. Data's coming in. Well, traffic's coming in. Traffic's coming out. It's similar to data in transit. Usually, it's best where sometimes this can happen physically um, by data moving physically. Let's say with like a physical hard drive or data moving digitally. So usually it's passed through an actual network itself. Okay, now that we've talked about the three concepts of data at rest, data in use, data in transit, we're going to talk about how to actually secure the data. So, first things first, I would like to talk about data encryption. So, this is an amazing strategy. What an encryption does is that you're able to make sure that the information that you have has a unique value where it will be able to only be accessed by someone who has that type of value. Pretty much, an encryption is what it will continue to do is make sure that your data will be harder to be traced. So it's definitely an excellent tool, especially when you're working with data in transit, because you don't want your data to be misplaced. Second thing which you have usually are access controls. Access controls, sometimes it can happen within companies where you're able to understand which certain amount of individuals have actual access to these controls itself. And so what I've noticed is that usually if there's a supervisor or a CIO, like a chief information officer, they'll usually have more privileges in this access control. Last way to secure data, well, the third way would be employee awareness and training. Make sure that employees have like the best recommendation in terms of taking the best practices. So there's a term of being able to bring in your own devices. Sometimes a lot of companies do not like this because it can interfere with the data as well as any current open ports which may be open. So it's best just to have good security awareness. Lastly, penetration testing and third party risk management. So the cool thing about penetration testing is that this is pretty much used for ethical hacking, where you're able to get information and pretty much try to exploit any vulnerabilities which may occur within an organization. And so I will definitely get into a whole video about that, but these are the four ways of how you would secure data naturally within a company. All right. Lastly, we're gonna see how uh, the strategy is changing when it's at use or when it's in transit. So first things first, data at rest is known, like I said, to help protect unauthorized access to any secure data. It is best to have the strategy, as I mentioned earlier, of encryption, because by being able to create unique hash values, um, you're able to make sure that you add an extra layer of security. So pretty much what hashing is that you're able to have a very signature value which is unique to the actual data which you're trying to send itself. And so that goes hand in hand with encryption, but hashing is an amazing way to ensure that you have better security as well as adding like an extra layer. The second thing is the data in use is known to ensure that data, as well as being secured by apps, is all can be also can be secured by operating systems as well. So, as I've mentioned earlier, it's best to have access controls with this process because being able to know which apps can only be operated by certain administrators, it's best to know that you have these layers of protection. Lastly, data in transit is known for protecting the data and securing the data when it's moving across networking systems. So personally, for me, I like the use of VPNs. VPNs are pretty powerful because you're able to have a virtual private network, and with this, you're able to ensure that when you connect to a network, VPNs are kind of similar to like a tunnel system or like a subway system, where if you go into one tunnel, you're able to connect to another tunnel. So it's best to know that with VPN and encryption, this is very good in terms of helping with data in transit of actually like using the strategy of securing it. So yeah, these are like the top three strategies. There's definitely a lot of more strategies out there. So I think what's best is in another later video, I'll be able to break down a heat map so you can understand what happens within these different types of like cyber attacks, but more importantly, seeing how data can be used. Lastly, thank you guys so much. I will be posting the link to the video below. But yeah, this is just like my presentation for my CYB 505 assignment. So thank you very much. Have a blessed day. If you guys like the content, please like, comment, and subscribe for more. Stay blessed. Rayo and Tech out. Yes, sir.